We are going to do something a little different today. We're not going to be kind of coding and paired programming and stuff. We're going to talk about Rider and our tools that we use, plugins that we use within Rider, other things, and then maybe even venture out around Rider and uh, things that we use with Rider and to enhance Rider. Uh, so I'm gonna kick it off to Joe. He's gonna show the first few uh, developer plugins or tools that he uses.
I am going to start first, once my screen share is up. I'm going to start first with presentation settings since this is, since we're presenting. Right now, this is my default view. I have a 4K monitor. Normally it's set up for 3000 by 2000, but for streaming, I set it up to be 1080p or 1440, one of them, 1440, I think, for best for the stream, but it's kind of hard to read. So a couple of things I do within Writer right away when I'm doing a presentation is on the view menu, there is under appearances, there's a couple of sections. One is presentation assistant. I generally turn that on. What that does is down here, you'll see it pops up a little window that says presentation assistant, but it also will demonstrate everything I do. So right now I hit build solution and it tells me the shortcut is control F9, which is kind of helpful. I can change the size of this, make it small, medium, large. I can change the location of it. And this is actually built into Rider. You just take a
Joe,
quick look at the
can you
settings.
hide the river? Yeah, great.
I didn't know it actually displayed on the screen. That's unusual.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
know.
For here, you'll see it has different key mapping. So that mapping was by default for the IntelliJ. Now, a lot of us are used to Visual Studio, so I can label a Visual Studio one. But in addition, because we have other people, I'm going to do the Mac OS so Woody knows what I am doing. Generally, I actually don't use Visual Studio. I use the ReSharper settings, but let's do that. I'm going to click Save, and then if I build it again, you'll see I get a Control Shift B, which is the actual
I
command I typed. When did the additional ones show up? Normally both of them are there. Anyway, so that's step one. And then step two is I go to appearance, and depending on the work I'm doing, I can go into presentation mode, which has some additional settings. Now you notice a lot of the side windows disappeared. I no longer have my Solution Explorer or the toolbar that was below. I just have a very minimal thing. I can still get to the menu by scrolling up to the top, and with keyboard shortcuts I can like open up the build window or anything else. I don't use this one a lot because a lot of people don't want to see it. But one of the things I like to point out is that when you're doing that, over here in the upper right hand corner, it displays the current time. Now for me, I'm in Arizona, so it's 11:08 in the morning. And then I can click that and it kind of hides that screen again, or basically puts the menu here. So I have the menu again. You can take that off, and then sometimes what I'll just do is go to view appearances and then zoom in on the IDE. So this will allow you to set a setting globally. So now everything is increased 150%, which makes it a little bit more readable on this particular,
yeah
on a stream.
yeah. It's nice to have that instead of having to zoom your whole desktop in the
Yeah.
OS.
Well, I'll still do that occasionally. Every once in a while, I'll do the window or command key in the Mac and then do plus to kind of zoom in if if I want to like really, really highlight something.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I did, and this is more of a Windows thing. I think you can do it on the Mac too. If you notice, when I held down the control key, or was it? No, not the control key, window key. What did I do? There it is. If I hold down the window key for a while, I get this little halo that kind of shows me. So it's helpful when I'm going to say, okay, over here, click here, or hey, up here, do
Yeah,
this.
that is nice. I didn't know that. I have to remember that.
Yeah. And then the last thing I do for that, I think that was it. Another quick thing you can do is for presentations now, I'm going to open up this file. Now, by default, I think I have my IDE set up to a 14-point font across the board. But when you're zoomed in, like now it's 150%, so it's like 21 or so. But sometimes you need it just a little bit more. So depending on whether you're using a trackpad or a mouse, you basically want to do the scroll wheel action, and that could increase or decrease the font size just for that current editor that you have open. So right now I'm doing on a trackpad, I'm doing the pinch out motion, which is this. You see that just increased it to 41%. So that's super gigantic here. And then I can scroll it back to pinch in to zoom it, or I can click the reset to 21 across the board, and that will just reset it. Yep. It doesn't work in the other screens. It only works in code editing windows or graphics. It won't work in like these tree views and stuff like that.
I don't think it works in the CLI, like in the command line. Does it?
I think so. I think it does.
It?
Let me see. So open up my terminal. I'm trying it right now. Fortunately, my terminal sometimes takes 2 or 3 seconds to load because of the script I have. Now it's taking even longer. My terminal is probably beat up from all the work I've been doing yesterday with, or today, with Copilot. Come on. Well, that's weird. It did not start. That's concerning. Let's do a command prompt and do a dir, and then see if I can zoom in. Yeah, you can do that too here.
Good. Awesome.
Still don't know why my PowerShell is not starting, but that's kind of, one other thing with presentations. I do have one plugin specific to presentations called, I think it's Window Arranger. This one here. This one allows you to rearrange all the windows that you have or switch to windows within Writer. So right now it's this little S right here. It'll show me all the projects I've recently opened. So if I click this, I'm going to open up my other project. I'll do it in a new window just to show it. So now you see I got two of these S's here. And I can arrange them. Here I can say I want to arrange it horizontally so they'll both be next to each other. Horizontally, we'll split them evenly, or I can do vertically, or 2 to 1. And that's helpful when you have more than one window open. The other thing you can do is align them. Say snap it to the left, snap it to the right. But this is what I use it more for. So depending on if I'm creating a video or I'm going to be presenting on a screen that's fixed size, I can say, like I know I'm going to be presenting at 1280 by 720. I can do that and it automatically resize that, so I'm aware of what that will look like on the screen.
Cool.
So those are my basic for presentations. I also have a blog post on presentations that I'll pop in the chat in a second while Woody's going and showing his next thing.
Cool. Okay, well, I will share my screen. And you know what? I'll do kind of the look and feel of the start. So when you were looking at Joe's rider, it had lots of boring, basically monochrome icons all over the place.
That's because I'm a
But
boring black and white kind of guy.
yeah, but if you can tell on mine, I've got these colorful icons, and that is from actually two different and let me two different ones. I've got extra icons, and you can buy licenses to kind of just thank the authors. So I bought a lifetime license. And then the other one is extra tool window colorful icons. So that will
The tool
actually,
window.
the tool windows are where you see on the side. And the extra icons are for within the tool windows. And if you go to appearance, I think it's extra. Let's go extra. Let's see. There are settings, so I can do extra icons. You can actually turn on and off those, and you can say, sorry, I found no valid. Somehow, it doesn't pick up. Every once in a while, it won't pick up the license, but you can override IDE settings, and you can come in and override these. Now, I don't have the license, so it's just giving me the what is by default, and that's what you get when you get the free version. So you get about 500 different icons, depending on what you can look up anything. There's Android. Basically, any icon within the IDE you can kind of override and put in something else. Extra, the extra is more for, like I said, the IDs that are outside of tool windows within the IDE, and you can look those up. So we could do like there's assistant AI assistant in main toolbar. Like I could turn that off, and it will show the original one. So I always like these. You can do different themes. There's also you can do classic, new UI, and new UI remix. So there are themes that you can quickly change all of them to be a theme. So there's that. Trying to think what else. I think that might be about it that I use for if anyone, I use gray theme. That's the theme that I use for Rider. The other one I like a lot is Mac OS light theme. I'm a light theme kind of guy. Um, Even though I will show this, even though I write on black paper, so I've got white pens and I write on black paper. But I like for my IDEs, I like white. Oh, let's
In the
see.
same way, getting old, it's harder to see with the black background or the dark themes.
Yeah, I've never really been a dark, a dark theme. Um,
I do for some things, like my phone is set to dark theme. I don't mind it there, but for the IDE,
well,
I don't know. Just
That's different. I set mine to dark theme also, but that's because of the screen technology. Uh, Black doesn't. If you have a light theme, it uses more battery and quicker the battery quicker because it's got to illuminate those pixels white
Mhm.
instead of not illuminating them. As far as I know, some technologies, a black is uses less energy. Let's see. I think that is it for that. Uh, the one I wanted to show was let's do code. Then what was that one? Um, there was maybe it's in tools. The Yeah, this is it. Entity Framework Core. So I'm a big Entity Framework Core guy. So there's a plugin that will allow you to scaffold a DB context. So instead of having to type out everything, uh, you can just bring up a GUI that will allow you to put everything in. So if you have a pre-existing database, I was like this because it allows me to generate the POCO objects, which then the model classes, which Entity Framework Core uses. So yeah, this Entity Framework Core uh, tool is really nice. So I think I'll pass it back to Joe, uh, and my next pass will be things, some things outside of Rider that I use with Rider. So I'm gonna pass it back to you, okay, Joe?
okie dokie. See if my screen is showing. Window, entire screen, that screen. Hide that little guy. Okay, so I put in the chat, if you're not going to see it, but I'll actually pop it up here and zoom in on the text a little bit like I showed. I do have a blog post of all the plugins. I stopped showing me that. I know that already.
I think
If you
once
go
you
to my
turn it
website
on,
and
it
then
shows
search
up a lot.
JetBrains plugins, you'll find a list of all the ones that I use. Let's get rid of Vue for now. So let's talk about some of them. I'm going to talk around the general development things. So some of the ones I'm going to talk about are kind of built in already to Rider, and some of them are actual plugins that you do. The first one I use heavily is the database plugin. Now, if you have their product, Data Grip, it's basically the same thing. I think behind the scenes it uses a lot of the same technology and infrastructure. For those of you who don't know, the Rider IDE is not really built independently. They have what they call the IntelliJ IDE, which is what you saw originally. And then Rider is kind of like a series of plugins built on top of it that make it very specific to C Sharp. There's also a WebStorm, which applies different web-based plugins. The latest version of Android Studio, or not the latest, it's been out for a while, actually uses the IntelliJ IDE, and then it wraps all the Android tools around it. So that's why you see a lot of the things look familiar, and there's a lot of cross-platform use amongst their tools.
Joe, here's some trivia. Do you know why JetBrains named the IDE Rider?
No, but I'm afraid where this is going.
No. It's so there's WebStorm.
Yeah.
So basically, Rider sits on top of WebStorm because WebStorm's a big web development. So
Which sits on top of the IntelliJ IDE.
yes, and data and the data stuff. So if you think of the old Doors song, Rider on the Storm, Rider on the Web Storm. That's
Okay, I did not
that's
know
how they
that,
got it.
but I do not
Yeah.
know that song either. So
Oh, you don't know Riders on the Storm.
I don't think
Oh,
so. Maybe if I heard
oh
it,
wow.
I might be
Oh,
familiar.
it's a famous Doors song from the
Not a
60s.
big Doors guy, except for opening and
Okay.
closing them.
Okay. Well, that's how they got the name Rider.
Cool. Okay, so back to some of the plugins. So the database one is built in, but if you're in the Microsoft world and SQL Server, you've probably used SQL Server Management Studio. This is very similar to that, except it does a lot more and it works with more than just SQL. As you can see here, it's highlighting a little A for Azure because this is an Azure-based database, and the SQL Server icon because this is a SQL Server database. If I click the plus and do connect to database, I'm going to use, I'm going to do, actually I don't like doing it this way. I'm going to add data source manually. Then I'll be able to choose, sorry, it's not really drawing properly because I resized the screen. I'm going to choose, you can see that there are quote unquote popular ones. There's Microsoft SQL, MySQL, Postgres, SQLite, and then there's a whole bunch of others, Redshift, DynamoDB, Apache Spark, CockroachDB. If it's some form of database, there's probably a plugin and or an adapter slash provider for it. So you can connect to almost any database. So I never really need to leave the ID when I'm doing database stuff. If I look here, I get the full browsing ability that you would expect. I can look at tables. I can go and update a table here. Let's see, I want to look at the data. Click that, it's going to run a SQL query behind the scenes and then pop, oh, database is not started. Sorry, it's going to fail. Probably should open up the other one. Let me open up the other project. Close you. Get you back in here. Look at the database. It's going to load the project, but this will allow me to kind of run a query, look at anything I want in it. I can create a query just by right-clicking and choose new, and then do query console. And then from there, I have my full IDE with IntelliSense. Right now, it's making suggestions. But you'll notice another thing that's popping up. This little expression, all distinct topped expected. That's coming from a plugin which I just installed a couple of days ago based on JetBrains employees recommendation. So let's go take a look at that plugin. The name of it is I already forgot what it was called. Something, Inspection Lens. It's a free tool, and basically what Inspection Lens will do is kind of tell you any of those build errors or warnings right there. So as I'm typing, it's saying that the expression is not there. So if I do select star from, let's make up a table name that doesn't exist here, syndication feeds. So now it's red here, and I get the little red resharper icon that's telling me something's wrong. It says it's unable to resolve the table. So I'm going to do what's called inspect, and then set it over to JJGnet. It should be syndication feed sources, I think. Maybe I need to do DBO. It hasn't finished checking the database yet, but it's a helpful plugin to do that. And then I could edit data if I want. So let's go down here, take a look. Oh, that's why there's no schema selected. So it's having trouble seeing everything. The introspection just basically says go and do a read, find out all the tables and everything. So now I have everything here. If I want to go and look at, let's do user roles. I can go and do edit data, and it's going to show me all the user roles. That was a terrible example. Let's go to roles and do edit data. Now I have all that data here, and I can go and change something. Let's say I don't like the way this is spelled. I'll just do a, oh, I don't want to do that because it's going to put a T here. And then I can hit Control Enter or walk away from the cell, then Control Enter, and it updates it. You can see right here that it did a select. Well, first it updated it. It set that property to can't, and then reran the select statement to update there. So it's kind of cool. Then you can see down here all the places it runs to. So that's one of the ones I use heavily. Some of the other plugins, let's go back to my plugin list. Another one you probably notice is down here now. I'm going to zoom in over there while it's still present. Is down here. Now we did it again. Let's pick a menu item. Right click, choose edit. Down here I get this little, oh, stop it. I get this edit data shortcut F4 missed 23 times. So this is a plugin called Keyboard Promoter. This is telling me that I could have pressed F4 instead of just doing that. And then it tells me how many times I did it. If you look at how many times I hit like execute or debug, it's like in the thousands now. So you can suppress it in case you don't want to see it anymore. Let's just say I like to right click on there. But it helps you to understand the keyboard shortcuts so that you can get away from using the keyboard. It'll also allow you to assign ones. So let's go to my gig because I know this one doesn't have it. If I do a fetch, I'll get this, and then Keyboard Promoter is going to come up in a second. Oh, it normally comes up and tells me, hey, you've hit fetch. Do you want to create a command for that or a keyboard shortcut? Because it doesn't have one. So that's one I use a lot. I do it a lot when I'm presenting because sometimes I'll use keyboard shortcuts. Sometimes I'll use the mouse. Even just when I'm coding, I want to try to get better at not relying on the keyboard. So let's look at the installed one. This is one I use a lot. And this is basically it reads the ENF files. Now this is one that was built in or works with Writer, but it'll tell you all the environment variables that you have in a .env file. So this is helpful if you're working with Docker Compose files or in other environments where you use .env. .gitignore is just that it basically can create the plugins to or create your sections for the gitignore, or you can just right click on it and say add to gitignore and it will do that. It looks to see if you have duplicate entries, if you have the correct syntax, can give you the right syntax for if you're doing wildcard searches or nested searches. AWS Toolkit for Writer. Woody had on his screen the AWS because he uses both. I basically only use Azure, so that's there. Some of the others are built in. This developer tools is one of my favorites. This one has a bunch of features to it. You can encode and decode JWT tokens, encode, decode from base 32, 64, URLs, and so on. There's a regular expression matcher. If you're using big text files, you can sort, you can transform case, like put everything in all caps, put everything in proper case, snake casing, etc. There's escape in between libraries. You can archive, you can view into zips, tar files. There's date handling that can convert from Unix timestamps, format them based on date times. can format code styles for you. SQL. There's a built-in color color picker. There's also a QR and barcode generator, which is helpful. And then the lorem ipsum generator. So you can say, I want to generate text, how big it is, and it will generate that for you. So it has a lot of cool features that you can use out of the box. And are you ready for your turn, Woody? Because I can.
Yeah, I was gonna also say that the nice thing with the database, the data part of Rider, which uses, if no one has used it, it actually uses a IDE, another IDE called uh, Data Grip. And so I like it because if you have a database that your application or a project is uses, so maybe you have it set up where your DB context of your for entity framework is using it. Rider and the data tools will are smart enough to say, hey, if I have a SQL statement in my code that works with the database or a database that is set up in that uh, database tool window that Joe was showing us, it will give you syntax highlighting uh, within your code. So that just remember that if you have a database, set it up in your database tool window, and it will allow you to have better functionality within your editor space. But yeah. So if you let me share my screen. I was gonna show something, but so there. Let I don't know. I have a little hardware thing on my desk called Stream Deck, and here is the little Stream Deck application that you can uh, uh, set up, so you can set up the buttons. But these Stream Deck also has a bunch of like plugins, and I wanted to show the ones for JetBrains IDE. So you install the plugin in Stream Deck, then you have to install the plugin in your JetBrains IDEs so they can talk to each other. But the nice thing is, you can set these up, and I have this just sometimes I do this with the hardware. I can start my current application, I can stop it, I can if I'm in debug mode and I've paused, or if I'm at a breakpoint, I can skip over, I can go back up, I can run, I can continue. This is pause, and this one is step into. So you can do a bunch of different things, and it gives you this. You can even like put a project structure, so you can hit that and it will pop open that solution uh, tool window. I should probably put like a debug, because this play is not run debug. It's actually like just normal run without debug mode. But yeah, that's no, this this bottom to the left is update project. But you can do a custom action. So there's that. And the one I just discovered last night is for all of us that use GitHub. There's also, and I'll go over to the second, the, oh, I
Page
thought
2.
I had page 3. I thought page 3 I had some, or no, it's set up on page 1. So you can see that you can have and this is also, you have to set up GitHub with a API key, which then you bring into Stream Deck, so this plugin can get access to GitHub. But the nice thing is I can set this up. This one's baseball history. This one will tell me how many issues I have. This one's
With
for
baseball
another
history, not
repo.
with you, right?
Yeah, not with me, with the in the repo. How many issues are in the repo? You can do a setup, so this will open up your settings, but you can do things like you can set one up. Like if I come over here, I can say PR counter, so I can come in here and then come down and pick a repository, and it'll tell me how many PRs are currently in that repo. So you can do a lot of things. You can do branch comparison. You can commit. So if you have a bunch of stuff, you can just press a button on your Stream Deck that will commit. Um, Project board, kind of if you want to see workflow status. So if you have a GitHub actions, you can see that. So if you do have a Stream Deck, there's lots of different stuff that you can do besides just streaming with it. Let's see, back to the IDE. Um, oh, let's see some other. There's one called string manipulation that will allow you to change uh, your format. So if you're like like Pascal case, you can quickly get that. That one is a shift. I think it's shift control. Let me see. A lot of these have. No, that's not it. But that one is another one that in Windows I used to use a lot. Um, let's see what else. Joe took a lot of the low hanging fruit ones. Oh, um, if you're a Claude user like me, if you load in Claude Code, you'll get this little icon up in the top right toolbar, and that will load up in your terminal a Claude Code CLI. So you can quickly get on. I've got the bypass permissions on, so I like to live dangerously. Um, the I there's GitHub Pilot, but I wish there was a button up here to just kick off squads. Joe, we need to build that uh, JetBrains plugin to have a little button up
Someone
here.
suggested it. It might be our theme for next week, using
Maybe.
squads to build a squads plugin.
Yeah, because it'd be nice just to hit a button and then Squad will start up in the terminal. Because what we have to do now is, whoa, uh, kind of put in Copilot dash dash agent squad dash dash YOLO, and that will give us our trusty GitHub Copilot friend. Um, What?
So those actions are, I think it's Alt M in order to get them. But you have to have text selected to get those strings you were talking about. I posted a
Oh,
link in the chat.
yeah. So if I did that, what was the
I think
command
it's
again?
Alt M.
Well, that would, I don't have an alt. That would be
Oh, it's probably
command
Control in your case or Command.
or option M. Yeah, there we go. So you can you can do all these like switch casing. Uh, you can swap words, so you can come in and it'll swap the two words that make up that variable name. So yeah, so that's option M on a Mac. So uh, that's always good to have because then you can even encode and decode text. So what else? Let me look at my list. Um, I use a ID called Awesome Log Viewer when I'm looking at logs. I don't have logs up here right now, but I just wanted to give a shout out to that one. Um,
Yeah, there's if you look at the plugins guy or the plugins marketplace, there's lots of different log ones.
yeah,
I use a combination of three different ones. There's the IDEO log or IDEA log, which allows you to view them. There's the open telemetry, but that one's very specific
yep,
for it. And then there's a structured logging, which is an added plugin. And that one gives you a lot of that special formatting for things like serial log and log and so on.
yeah. So this one will. Oh, it's over in my other monitor showing. But this one has a little more color. So this one will bring kind of color and show some color indication for logs. And so just wanted to give a shout out for that one. And oh, test automation. Um, I'm just getting into that with this is good for like Selenium and Playwright. I am just starting to get and learning Playwright for some of my Razor paid Razor Pages web apps. So
And
okay, back to
one
you.
thing,
You can bring us home, Joe.
one thing you might have noticed while Woody has that open on the screen, a lot of the plugins were actually built directly from JetBrains, which goes to my earlier point about, how the IDE itself is, kind of a collection of plugins. There's a lot of plugins that it has
Yeah,
that it
just like
makes available to build the overall functionality of it. I think there's only like two or three more that I want to show outside of the settings, so I will
okay.
go
Let
and
me
share my screen.
yeah, let me stop sharing and you can take over.
Let's see, it's hide you. Um, the Docker one is built in, but I kind of want to cover where Docker and everything else is. So there is in the toolbar. Now, this might not be visible to you or not, because by default, the ID only shows like 4 or 5 of these, and some of them you kind of have to make visible through either one of these three dots to see tool windows or within the settings. So I'm going to click on the services one for a little bit and kind of cover some of them that are in here. Now, the number of services that you see here is going to vary based on a couple of different things. One, plugins that you have enabled, and two, features of the application. So by default, you will see Docker if Docker is present, the Azurite emulator if you have Azurite installed, and HTTP request. The HTTP request used to be a plugin, but now it's available as part of the IDE. And that allows you to run things like scripts. you can run scripts right inside your IDE for things that go out and make calls. If a lot of people have used something like Postman in the past or curl, the HTTP requests allow you to do that right in your IDE. So you see in this project, I have a couple that are installed,
Yeah,
or a couple that I've created. So here's one with
that's
Bitly
very
test,
nice. Yeah,
and it
you
has
can
a
even.
bunch of.
Oh, sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
No, after you. What were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say, by doing this, what Joe's showing you, and having these .http files, they will. You can also save them and into source control. So that's the
Yes.
other nice thing.
Yeah, and the good thing about it is I'm saving it to source control, but as you'll notice, I have a couple of different variables here. Like there's this Bitly token. I'm not saving the token with the database. I'm using something that they have called environments. So I won't open up any of these files because there's passwords and stuff. Think of it as like your user secrets, or if you're doing like Docker files, it's your .env files. And this allows me to store stuff so I can go and I can go and commit this bit.ly test.htp to the repo, which it's actually already committed as part of it. So I have these tests whenever I need. And you'll notice that it also has the IntelliSense built into it. So here it's telling me you can't find it because I ended up changing the environment variable for it to use. So if I go back to Bitly, it's going to look at Bitly and say, oh, that's defined, and that's defined. And then I can go and run these. So these tests are all separated by 3 dashes or 3 hashtags. And the name is optional. That name will appear here when I run the test. And then I get this run, so I can run it if I want to, and that will execute this call. This is also helpful if you have local APIs, you want to run those APIs. So if I hit play here, assuming my token's still valid, it'll run, and you see I get a response back at 200. And then I can view the file here and see what was actually, this was the response that came back. So it created the ID. So this actually went out, called it, and got back all within the ID. I never had to leave it. If you have an Aspire in this project, like I do, it says, oh, here it is. If I want to start, I can go and click debug, and that's going to start this project or start the app host project in debug mode. Once that starts, I'll let it kick off. You'll see it's going to branch off a couple of more things here. It's going to start showing me all the different resources. Now, this is a plugin that's maintained by someone on the JetBrains team called the Aspire plugin, and this has a lot of integrations with Aspire. It allows you to see the connections and all that. The database, remember I ran a command before, and it created a what's called console, which has a list of everything I've done, and I can go and add to it, remove from those services. If I have Docker installed on the machine, which I do, I can see all the containers I have, so I don't need Docker Desktop necessarily. I can do all my maintenance right from here, so I can start and stop. If I click on one, I get the option to restart it, stop it. I can get a terminal that goes directly into that Docker instance. I can see any of the log files that were sent. So if I go to this SQL Server, I can click on terminal, and I'll get a terminal right inside of my SQL Server instance, and I can see all the directories. If I want to go to let's do dev, because I think there's stuff in there. Yeah, I can see, and I have a full access, everything you would have in Docker available right here. I can see all my images that are available. These are the current 4 images I have. Any volumes. If you click on the volume, you can see if there's any labels, what container is using it, and so on. So there's a lot of built-in features within the Docker thing. Again, keeping me inside the IDE so I don't need to leave it. The Aspire thing's still going. No, here it goes. It just started. So you see it turn green here. If I zoomed in, you'd probably be able to see it, but there's a little green dot there. That means it's starting. And now it's going to give me everything that was in the log file for it, basically everything that's going out. Now it just did an inventory and discovered that there's a function app in there. There's an API app. There's a web app. There's a database. Now these are yellow right now because they haven't been started yet. Well, now it's green based on me talking. And now they're available, but I can go in and see what I want about it. Here's the endpoints. You can see it's going to start showing all the environment variables that are in there. I'm not going to scroll down because you'll see things like passwords and stuff like that. I can see the console of what's being written out for that. It also will lead to the OpenTelemetry plugin, which, where did that go? Oh, that's in the debug, I believe. Where's my OpenTelemetry? Do I have it showing? View. Come on. View. No. Debug is initializing. Something broke. Oh, it's still starting some of the apps. That's why. So go to view. Where's my telemetry? Oh, I have so many. With it zoomed in, it's. Where is it? Should have been under tool windows. Oh, well.
So I've got one last one I want to show when
Okay.
you're done.
I got one more thing outside of that.
Sure.
So this is running. And I can view everything here. I don't know why I can't see the telemetry right now, but there should have been a view of it right here. Maybe it's in the debug. No, I guess not. The last thing I wanted to show is the configuration. So that's one real thing I love about Rider is the ability to create different configurations or run configurations. So if you click on the little more actions here, you can do edit configuration. And this brings up a lot of debug run configurations. And by default, it'll read some of the out-of-box things, like for .NET projects, it'll read and give you all those projects. So I can create a run configuration to execute this test. You know, for Aspire, it sees I have 2 of these, and it gives you a series of things. But the favorite thing I love about it is the compound. So before I started using Aspire, because Aspire will orchestrate and start the whole app if you've been watching some of our previous videos, this allows you to create a combined profile. So this one says, I want you to start the API project. Once that's started, start the web project. So you can do this for lots of different things. Let's say you need to have this CLI project started, then an API project started, and then you want to spin up a Docker instance to make sure Azurite is available. So you can create, if you click on add, you can add anything that's any one of the configurations that's currently available in your app. So here I have some Azure functions, Azure function tests. I have those scripts. I can say execute those scripts. So if I have a bunch of them all at once, I can create a build for it and just say run from here. So if I go here, it's only going to display my most commonly used one, which right now this is the only one I use. But if I click on all connections, I'll see them all, and then I can start them all right from here.
Yeah, that's cool. No,
That is it for me.
I didn't know about that compound build, so that's actually really cool. The last thing I wanted to share is since I talked about GitHub in the Stream Deck, I did want to show that there is a GitHub Actions tool window. And if you come in here, you can, it will, if you've logged into GitHub. So So let's show that. So if you come in and say settings, and then go down to tools, and then go down to
GitHub Actions.
no, it's not get. It's where you log in.
Oh, that's probably up in the
That's up in the version
version
control.
control.
That is. Where is it?
6 down.
Right there. So you can log into GitHub. You can also log into GitLab if you have that
Or Azure DevOps.
plugin.
It'll work
Or you
with
can do
most of that.
Azure DevOps too. So yeah, so there's lots of things that you can log in, but because I'm logged into GitHub, what allows me to do, because with the GitHub Actions, is allows me to see all the workflows. So these are all the workflows. You could see that I've got some squad workflows because I use Squad, and Squad has updated some of the GitHub Action workflow files. But I can even come in and see Actor. So if Joe was in this repository, I could see him and me. But the nice thing is you can see, like, you can also see what current state. So if something failed, so there's all the things failed, and you should be able to see. So pick a job. I think it's main there, and then there cannot load logs from. Now, let's see if I can find one that I can.
Yeah, and
So
with that, there's also a GitHub plugin as well as a pull request
yes,
plugin. GitHub allows you to do what Woody's showing you. Allows you to create, clone repositories. The GitHub Actions allows you to kind of maintain
that's up here.
deal with your
Yeah.
reactions. And then there's a pull request one also that gives you a window to handle pull requests, so you can see them right there and create them all within
Yeah.
IDE.
So it's kind of nice if you have a long-standing GitHub action that takes a while to get done. You can watch it, and this will keep it updated pretty close.
You
to
can
what
even
you
actually,
built.
if you go to if you view your Git repo, so click on that Git that you were just on. In here, it'll actually tell you the status. Now go back to that log. So if you look midway down around the merge, there's 2 checkboxes. Those checkboxes indicate that all the workflows ran. So there was an action that published them and everything. So that shows you everything that happened. So there was deployed and everything else. So you can get the successful statuses of them, as well as if any of them failed, will be
Yeah.
there with X's.
Yeah. So maybe if I go back, you'll see maybe we'll see a failed. Nope.
Oh, you
Nope.
just
There we
there's
go.
that right there.
So yeah, showed that the deploy to Azure app service failed. So this when I was getting this project started, but yeah. So just wanted to show that you could bring in a lot of those third party frameworks, tools, websites, services that we use every day. You can bring those into Writer and have that pretty much all within the IDE.
Yeah, all within your reach.
Yep. So that's a little bit of what we use Writer, how we use Writer, some of the plugins and add-ins that we use in some other things. Yeah. So I think we're a little over. So we're at about an hour. So we will kind of see you tomorrow. We may have to push till Monday, Joe. I've got a meeting tomorrow at from 2 to 2:30 that just popped up. So, so we may push till Monday, but
Yeah, we gotta finish up that Expire work on this. on
yeah,
this
yep,
history.
exactly. I've got to get the database working again. Oh, and I figured out how I'm going to do that database because the data is 71 megs in size. I'm going to just create the database, then create the schema, and then I'm going to afterwards run the data in
Yeah,
a
that's
side
fine.
process.
I mean, typically locally you won't have a 71 meg
Exactly.
database. You'd only have a small lookup or pointing to
Yeah. To
something
start.
else.
Yeah, to start your database. But mine is full of baseball
Yeah, you're
statistics
pulling the
from
entire production database instead of a smaller
exactly.
snapshot.
Exactly. So by Monday, I'll have the database. It'll be all up and running. And so why don't we just say we'll be back on Monday? We'll have a long weekend. Joe's going to be sitting out in the sun in sunny Phoenix.
I'll be speaking at a conference on Sunday morning, afternoon, evening, depending on your time zone for
Really? What conference?
the AI Agents Conference. It's a virtual conference from Sunday to Thursday, I think. Starts
Awesome.
at 7 a.m. Eastern. No, 9 a.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, Sunday through Thursday. And I'm speaking,
Nice.
I think at 5 o'clock, no, 4, just about 4:30, 4:50 on Sunday.
Your time or Eastern?
East. No, it's 1 o'clock Eastern. Sorry,
1 o'clock Eastern. Okay.
1 o'clock Eastern.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
10:50 my time.
Well, I will try to watch it. Okay.
Okay. Have a great
Okay.
day.